Welcome, everyone, to the Mormon Lit Lab Podcast. I'm Annaliese, your host for this series where we discuss the 14th Annual Mormon Lit Blitz. Today, I'm joined by Lee Ann Setzer, author of Thief. Welcome, Lee Ann.
Thank you.
All right, could you introduce yourself and explain what your experience is with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
Okay, my name is Lee Ann Setzer. I'm a writer and I also have a degree in speech-language pathology. I work right now at BYU with an early literacy project, which is a mostly writing job that involves editing academic papers, writing advertising copy, and composing stories like the goats in quotes who float in a boat. So it's really variable. Monday, I think, is my baptism anniversary. I'm a convert, and I joined the church the same year the consolidated meeting schedule was introduced. So it's been a few years. I was the bishop's babysitter during church hours because apparently they just couldn't wrap their minds around the idea of taking 7 children to church for 3 hours. So they hired a babysitter. And I tagged along and they found another babysitter. And it was a while before someone said, "Hey, have you met the missionaries?" So I was kind of a success of the natural and normal program before natural and normal was a thing, but mostly I tend toward weird and awkward rather than natural and normal. And I'm just so happy to have been a Lit Blitz finalist. It's been a dream for a while, so I'm really grateful to be here.
And I really enjoyed your story, so love to dig into the parts that I really liked, at least. And for example, I'd never really thought about how Moroni gathered the gold to make the last few pages of the golden plates, but this is a very plausible scenario. So what drew you to this story?
Well, in general, I learned a while ago, I wrote a novel about Ruth, and that was an experience in asking, what would this person do and how might they feel if they were just as real as I am? And the answer to that is always, it depends. Who is this person? Where are they coming from? What's their experience? And that leads to a dozen different possibilities with the same facts. It doesn't always lead to a story, but it's always an interesting question. So in Mormon 8:5, Moroni says, I would write more of this record if I had room, but I don't, or I have none. And I'm alone, and my father's been slain, and all my kinfolk. I don't have any friends, and I don't even know how long the Lord's going to let me live. So Moroni didn't have any ore, and the infrastructure of civilization has been pulled down by war, and all they have left is stuff that other people made, and even that's of no real use to them in the chaos they've created. Nephi, he didn't have ore either, but so he went and mined some for his boat building tools. But Moroni had to get far enough away from people trying to kill him to dig or pan for gold. And Nephi, even Nephi, he had a mom back at camp to cook him dinner. So Moroni really had no access to gold at all, just no infrastructure at all. So the story started with wondering where pages and pages worth of ore came from. And I got snagged by the idea of taking back just a little bit of all that's been lost and using the gold necklace as jumping off point to show the memories and lost possibilities.
Yeah, going with that necklace, I really liked how it belonged to Moroni's mother. And that it seemed like it was emblematic of her own social standing, not just as Mormon's wife. And I love that insight because we get so few women characters in the Book of Mormon. So was there research into deciding this role for her?
Yeah, I think that started with the gold also, just because the golden plates are so central to our religion, and I wanted to think about that some more. So I looked up what ancient Mesoamerican gold jewelry looked like and got reading about what gold meant in the mythology of Mayans. And that's where the part about how the gold held power beyond the grave came up. And so, of course, if Moroni's mother had this enormous golden necklace, because we got enough here for a couple of plates of gold here. She had to have had some standing in the society, and I liked the idea of corrupt people twisting teachings about life after death, power from beyond the world we can see, the things that are comforting that we hold on to for truth and peace and light, then twisting that into something that they could take and own and make it another violation. So, but if you've got a big, hefty piece of jewelry like that, heavy with symbolic connotations, then it's right back to what you said. Well, who wore this? And who are these women in the Book of Mormon? And what were they doing? How was their society set up? What role did it play in the lives of their children? And so I kind of made up a woman that went with the necklace.
Cool. I love hearing research stories like that. And you have some really vivid imagery with this, and that's something I struggle with in my writing. You create this world that's very different from our own, very dangerous, but it feels very lived in. So what did you do to develop that skill?
It's a really nice thing, and also the aggravating thing about writing for the Mormon Lit Blitz, because 1,000 words is just not very many. So, well, I think my story was 999, and then I discovered I had a typo, and I actually got away with 1,001. It's stuff like that. But the length forces you to interrogate every word, demand that it justify its presence in your story, or kick it out and find a more interesting one. And the other nice thing about that, though, is that the Lit Blitz readers are really ready and eager to sketch in details that aren't actually there if you can create a convincing framework. So in Moroni's story, it's going from standing outside the one continual round of bloodshed. And, we read that all the time in the Book of Mormon. And so it goes to imagining myself standing there in one particular moment and pulling in plausible details for what that might look like from the point of view of somebody who's big-hearted and absolutely true, like Moroni, who's seen so much and he's working so hard to hold on to his humanity.
You really feel for Moroni in that story. It just really brought him to life. I really liked that. Was there anything else that you wanted to share about this story?
I think we're good. Just that it was such a fun opportunity. Like you say, I really love Moroni too, and I just always feel those last chapters of the Book of Mormon. So I really wanted to dig deeper into what his experience might have been and how he might have felt about those things.
So do you have a piece of media, literature, any format, any genre that you recommend for our audience?
Well, I am currently obsessed with the Unselected Diaries of Emma M. Lyon. The author lives in Orem. I don't know if she is Mormon, but she has this quirky corner of Victorian England that never was, with this amazing main character who creates an astonishing group of friends and this cast of just absolutely off-the-wall supporting characters, and this setting that is one of the characters. And then the story swoops from hilarious to heartbreaking and back in this plausible, feminist-informed way. And the author is super prolific. I can't wait until volume 9 comes out. So yeah, highly recommended.
I think that might have come up in our book club as a suggestion. So I haven't read it yet, but sounds fun.
It can be sucked in.
All right. And do you have any other projects or places to find you online that you'd like to tell our audience about?
Yeah, as far as things I'm working on right now, I just finished a middle grade fantasy that's out for, it's with an agent, so we'll see what happens with that. As far as Book of Mormon fiction, I had a piece about Laban's wife called Compassed About, which was published in Ariantum. And I also wrote a story that looks at the armies of Helaman through the eyes of this old jaded soldier. That one's called Last Miracle Standing, and it was published in Wayfair.
And if we wanted to, do you have a website or anything where people can find a list of all these things?
My have this blog called, what is my, I can tell how often I post it. It's not, the answer to that question you wanted was not yes, but yeah, I will send you the link. That's really crazy.
Yeah. And I know that not all authors have that, but just, I know that it's very helpful, like, especially if anyone wants to get that fantasy, that novel that's with an agent when it comes out.
Yeah. Absolutely true. And yeah, I'll send you the link.
All right. Well, I hope you have good luck with that novel. And thank you so much for talking with us today.
All right. Yeah, it was lots of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, hope to see you again in the Lit Blitz.
Yes, absolutely.
For more information about the Mormon Lit Blitz, visit mormonlitlab.org. If you would like to support the Mormon Lit Lab in producing Mormon literature through contests, workshops, and publications, look for their PayPal or visit patreon.com/MormonLitLab.